Hi there. Glad you could join me. It's Nick Dutch, back on the camera again for another delightful series of tarot readings. Wonderful of you to join me. And I have promised we're going to try and get through the readings a little quicker so we can try and get through the backlog a little more. And that will encourage more people to submit more requests, and eventually we'll turn this into the best tarot reading show here on YouTube, okay? Now, this is tarot readings by request. It's not on demand. Some people do occasionally send me a message saying, can you do it for me now? Send it through by instant message or private message. And I have to say, no, I won't do that, okay? I do tarot for a living, alright? It's my job. And so what I'm doing here is I'm showing you how I do a reading. I hope you can get some insight from it. There's lots of wonderful reasons for you to watch this particular show, even if you haven't requested a reading yourself, because you can get an insight as to the way a really good tarot reader can do his work, okay, can do his performance arts. You can also get a bit of a feeling for the lives of the clients and basically the kind of problems and the kind of questions which come through to someone like myself, alright? It can be a very grueling job, because when I'm working on the telephone or working over the internet, I'm doing it like all the time, and there's so many different questions and so many different problems out there. It can be draining for me, because I really put my effort into it, and I care about the work that I do, and I care about the people who contact me and the questions that they ask. Okay? Well, without further ado, we'll crack on with the next one, okay? We've got someone who calls themselves Diana, and this lady Diana has had a few problems recently. She's lost her relationship, has got a few problems with the family, and at the moment is just doing her studying and just going down the gym. So there's very few opportunities to meet new people, connect with new people and build new relationships. And she does want to know when the next soulmate connection is going to start. Now, on the subject of soulmate relationships, I take a very specific stance to them. I don't believe that there is someone who is predestined to be yours. That's not the way I consider it to be. I don't think that there's necessarily a connection from a past life, because these things are very difficult for us to say with absolute certainty. I believe that the word soulmate is appropriate for a stage in the relationship, the early stage when you're building the bond and you feel delightful, like you're flying over daffodils and everything's great. But that bond always comes to an end, and then you make the relationship work. It could seem like a bit of an uphill struggle, but you make it work with discipline and dedication, and then that yields the life partner connection, and it requires more skills and more perception and more understanding. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have a look to see whether there is another relationship coming your way which is going to be good, which is going to provide you with what you're after, but also has some potential to go a bit more towards the long term. Obviously I can understand why you're feeling a bit constrained or restricted, and the whole world seems to be just coming in on you at the moment. Alright? But let's just have a quick peek and see what's coming through for you. Still using the good old-fashioned Thoth Tarot. Rather interesting that on the underside there, the very first thing that's come through is a very strong female character, talking about strength and stability. Maybe that relates to yourself. You've got your stability now, but where's your life going to go from here onwards? So we'll do a chronological reading and see what kind of thoughts, feelings, moods and energies appear for you. Here we go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly show you the cards so you get a bit of a feeling for what I'm seeing, and you can get an understanding as to how I would interpret the progress here. Bear with me a second, please. Alright, this is the way it's come out. Now, I will tell you right now, okay, I don't prime the readings. What comes out here is what you end up seeing and what I end up telling you about, okay? Just as if I was working over the internet and over the telephone for you right now. Now, the early parts of the reading, okay, we got the Hangman card, but it's coming out reverse. What do you think that means? Taking into account that upright, the Hangman card can sometimes talk about treachery and a feeling of negativity. Why would that be being reversed at the moment? Maybe it's because you've got that stability that the Princess of Dis was talking about. Maybe it's because you're now in a position of thinking that you know more about who you are or what you are and where you're about, okay? Progression from then onwards. Something driven by the intellect, bringing about something of a loving nature, and then we got the two most important signs there. The Ten of Coins which is not only reflecting the sense of stability, but talking about a new variety of stability, as well as the Magician card again relating to new beginnings. And I feel there's a change of perspective and a change of pace there. If you're feeling a bit down in the dumps at the moment because things haven't worked out according to plan in a relationship sense right now, the feeling is that you'll begin to understand that there's actually some benefits to what you've been through and what you've become, and the contemplation that you're doing in the here and now. Now, the Hangman card reverse can often talk about contemplation. I'm sure you've seen people doing yoga classes in a wide variety of, different postures and different positions. This is like a contemplative or spiritual exercise. They move into these really uncomfortable postures, but they can contemplate life in a different way as they do so. Right now, you're not in a comfortable place now, are you? But essentially, the feeling of progress seems to be that you're learning something right now. You can't quite put your finger on it. Maybe it's not a tangible learning, but it's still a form of learning. And it's going to give you something great. Now, as far as when is it going to happen, I can't give you a precise time frame, but there is a sense of there being something happening. I would say well before 6 months are out. Remember, I give pessimistic time frames. I don't give precise time frames, okay? So it's anything up to then. Could be 9 o'clock tomorrow morning that someone will turn up in a tuxedo outside your front door with a bottle of champagne and a bunch of red roses, but I somehow doubt it'll be quite that soon, alright? But essentially something is happening during this time frame that's going to bring about something which is going to make you feel good. When it happens, take it slow, take it easy, explore the relationship and see how it develops. It does look like it's going to develop quite nicely though, okay? So whatever's appearing here for you, it's going to bring about a new form of stability. Okay, stability is important, and I think that what you want here is someone who's actually going to be right for you. It's not just a question of anyone must have a relationship. Although that might be the way that you're feeling at the moment, don't think like that. Put those thoughts aside and see how you can actually develop with the passage of time. There is something on the horizon for you. The universe will not allow you to be single forever. Alright, quite an interesting interpretation of the message there, and I think that this period of instability or uncomfortableness that you're going through at the moment is actually quite important to you. It's very difficult to say precisely how. So enjoy it for the moment, see what good you can get out of this negative situation, and watch for the changes, because the changes will happen. You're not going to be alone forever, and I'm sure about that. Okay, a quick question again for Gothstar Medium Luna, who's popped back very quickly with one quick question, and the question is nursing right for her? Let's just have a quick look and see if we get any signs of caring and looking after people coming through in this particular reading. Just a second, please. Bit of an interesting message here, because things are working out slightly differently to what you'd anticipate. If you're feeling a bit frustrated at the moment, yep, I can understand that, because your very first signs there, Eight of Swords, talking about a sense of interference, a sense of frustration, being held back. But there's also a sense of some sort of perverse joy in what you're doing, because there's a result there for you, and there's a result which you're helping to create for other people. Good sense of victory associated with it. So for the moment, it's still okay, but as far as the progress into the future is concerned, it's leading to something you've always wanted. The Star card is often called the Wish card. It's talking about something you've always wanted to occur. Maybe you don't even know what it is yet. And I can say that because we've got the signs here, the Six of Swords, which is talking about a sense of planning and preparation, trying to be meticulous and scientific about your thinking, okay? So there may even be some resentment as it's coming out in the Princess of Swords. Plenty of sword signs for you, both talking about struggle, strife, but also talking about victory in a sense of determination. So again, this is actually a very positive reading for you, because right now it is the right thing for you according to the reading, but there's a sense of it leading on to something new and something different. I could actually see you at some point moving into alternative therapies, doing something like more in the way of massage, more in the way of laying on of hands. I could envisage you working with Reiki energy, I can envisage you working with crystals, but also not losing that sort of like more hard science aspect that you're currently a part of within the regular nursing profession. So it looks like it's backing onto something else for the future. Not this year, the change won't happen straight away. Stay determined, stay focused for the moment, but see how the progress goes later on down the line. Okay, Green Pumpkin has made an inquiry. Coming up to Halloween, we've got someone called Green Pumpkin. Maybe that's a sign. Let's just have a quick look and see basically what's coming through for Green Pumpkin. She's inquiring about a certain trip that she's booked and wants to make sure it's going to be okay, whether it's the right thing to do. Okay, well, if I was in your shoes, okay, this is just me giving you my opinion. If I was in your shoes, I would base it more upon whether it's a good financial decision and whether I could actually afford the money. Alright, that would be my first thoughts. And then I would think about, the people and the location and everything else. Alright, that's the way that I would structure my understanding. But, you put your neck on the block there, and you basically want to see whether you've done the next right thing. So, let's have a quick look and see we've got some good luck signs coming for you. Very much so. Okay, I don't think you've done what's wrong. We got no signs of destruction, we got no signs of there being a major problem there. Essentially, well, there is a sense of there being some financial stress, but there's also a very good, very successful feeling, very literal successful feeling about the whole trip and about the whole journey. So the feeling is not actually too bad. You're going to get something else from the trip which is going to do you a lot of good. So I would go for it. Alright, according to the reading, and purely based upon what the reading's talking about, which I suppose is more focused upon your soul benefits, your psychological benefits, and the quantity of good that it'll do you in the long term, I don't really see a major problem there, and in fact I think it's going to work out very nicely indeed for you, okay? Okay, we've got a YouTube inquirer whose channel name is Captain of Cats. Yeah, victory to the cats. And this is a rather curious reading because it's a general life path reading, okay? Now for a general reading, what I would traditionally do would be the Celtic cross spread. Obviously I'm shuffling like crazy now whilst I'm speaking, I'm not just idly twiddling my thumbs. I would use that to just try and assess how comfortable you feel in the here and now. And I would look to see whether your path in law school would actually be just right for you. So let's have a quick peek and see what's coming through. Just bear with me a second, please. Okay, now this is interesting already. Alright, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the positions one at a time, and we're going to think closely and carefully about what's actually here for you. Alright? See what kind of message is coming through for you, so you get more impact, I suppose, as to whether this is actually the right decisions that you're going through and you're taking. Just a second, please. Okay, based loosely upon the Celtic cross spread, before convenience I've put the staff cards out at the side there, okay? The first thing is about, yourself and your energy in the here and now. I feel you're a bit full of anxiety when you're by yourself. I mean, those signs there are for your inner personality when you're by yourself behind closed doors, okay? So, I often associate those signs with resentment, bitterness, and a sense of trying to fight something off. I don't think you're a bitter individual, but I think you're a confused individual who's concerned about where things are going to go. And also I think there's a bit of reflection on where things have gone in the past and the influence of other people upon you, okay, if you get my drift there. As far as what you're like when you're with your friends, when you're with your family and dealing with people, very positive, very successful looking energies there. So I think that you're trying to brass it out, you're trying to express things in the right way so you don't have too much in the way of major concerns, okay? But that's the way you're presenting yourself, but there are some concerns inside yourself. I think you're reflecting back upon a seemingly easier time in your life, but I also think, and this is where it gets interesting, you're basing your understanding of what you actually enjoyed upon what you were like when you were more immature. Not upon what you're like now, nor upon what you're going to be in the future. Alright? The signs for what you're aware of, consciously and subconsciously, dramatic signs of change. Let's just sort of focus in a bit more so you can see what I mean there. Death card, always talking about change and transformation, becoming something new. So if you're afraid about this path of law, I would not be. Because these are actually good omens, talking about the way that you're going to change inside to help you out with your future. You won't recognise there's going to be some benefits immediately. Seriously, you won't. But if you think about it, the Two of Coins there is talking about change of a positive nature with an allusion or a reference to financial gain in the longer term. So as far as are you going to have a successful career, I would say that that's probably very much the case. But it's an internal transformation that you're going through. And because of this transformation, maybe that's why you've got some concerns. And probably why we've got some signs of strife and struggle and fear of failure coming through, okay? Now, the struggle is your internal struggle. It's trying to make sure you can actually do the work and get through it, and it's going to be hard. Alright, I'm just going to be honest with you, it's going to be hard. But on the other hand, you're a skilled, intelligent individual. Air signs are often associated with intelligence, alright? So I wouldn't worry too much about that. So just carry on doing it. Shoulder to the wheel, nose to the grindstone, and see what results you're going to get. Progress, short-term, mid-term and long-term future, very good. I would say that there's some strong legal associations there. Good financial associations later on down the line. Still signs of resilience, I would say, and making sure you keep yourself focused on your goals in your short and mid-term, basically. So is this the right thing to do? Well, it's going to be hard. I really shouldn't be the one to turn around to you and say whether it is or whether it isn't the right thing to do. But my impression here is that you're going to be a great success, but you just got to go through some trials and tribulations first, okay? Okay, an individual, a YouTube user called Crystal Rain has come on for another wonderful reading today. Let's just have a quick look and see what kind of thoughts, feelings, moods and energies are coming through here. Now we're going back to the good old faithful. In this show so far we've had a chronological spread, we've had a Celtic cross spread, and now we're going to go back to the good old fashioned 8-card relationship reading, because this is someone who's with a new individual. So relationship's been going for a short period of time, and this particular YouTube user wants to make sure it's going to work out okay and according to plan. Alright, shuffling like mad as is usual, but often even when I'm shuffling like crazy we occasionally get the same signs from previous readings coming through. So, you know, don't hold that against me, it's just purely based upon the fall of the cards, shows you that this is being recorded live, okay? Signs for the forces between you. Sometimes called the Justice. A bit of a sense of trying to get the right perspective, trying to understand what the other person's going through, and trying to be sensitive to their needs. You're with a very different individual now. It's a very different game. You can't play it by the rules you've done before, and nor can you get away with what you could get away with before. Not that I think you're deliberately trying to get away with something, but there's just this feeling here of, is it going to be the same as before? Am I doing what's right? And a few feelings of confusion. On her side of things, great feeling of satisfaction. She's got good feelings for you. That's wonderful. So there's a sense of dedication there coming out in the red cup card. Red is often associated with passion. So I think there's something quite deep happening there. And the other signs here is talking about a calm spiritual connection associated from her to you. So on her side of things are actually looking really rather good. On the emotional level, of course, we all deal very differently intellectually on a personality level, don't we? And that's something that I think you've got to work on mainly. Now, on your side of things, you're the anxious one here. Okay? I mean, the forces around you at the moment is a question of knowing what's the right thing to do, but not really having the energy to do it or the willpower to do it. There's also a sense here of finding this one a bit of a struggle. Maybe this is why you feel that this is not quite the right individual for you. I don't think that this is a lady who is negative to you or inappropriate for you, because she's got that heart bond with you. It's just a question of adjustment. Now, if you can't go through the period of adjustment, it doesn't say anything bad about yourself. It just means that you're very different. The future progress is actually really rather interesting. The first thing I notice is that there's some very strong cup signs, and to have the Ace of Cups in the longer term future has a very powerful message associated with that. Namely, you're not going to get precisely what you're after in a relationship sense with this individual until probably after a further 6 months have passed. And that's on the basis that you do connect properly. Now, as far as the progress in the future is concerned, it's not coming out negative, it's coming out very interesting. More a question of trying to make sure your stability foundation is actually built. You don't have it there yet. On the emotional level, on her side of things, it's there. On your side of things, you're struggling to feel some emotions. Does that make sense? Either way, there is love there in the future with this individual. Take it one step at a time and see how it goes, okay? It's not looking too bad for you. Okay, guys and girls, stay right where you are, and I'll be back in just a tick. Okay, we got another user called Emmy 4230. Here we go. Still using my traditional combination of tarot and basically anything else that comes through. Wants to see whether someone new's going to come into her life, someone who's quite right for herself, okay? Alright, so obviously you've discussed the situation with me in your message, so I understand what you're talking about, and I'm taking that into account, you know, with the feelings I'm going to get, with what comes out in the cards, to make sure that there is the right variety of connection associated with that, okay? Alright, let's have a quick look for you. Very interesting. Because there is a sense of there being some individual you're compatible with. I mean, we've got a sense of there being definite change. We've got some definite signs of loving energy and satisfaction coming into play. It's not coming through in the short-term future. The short-term future signs is much more to do with a bit of reflection and self-healing. I don't know whether your last relationship was a bit painful, But the recommendation that the reading seems to be giving me is, for the moment, for the next couple of weeks, focus in on yourself, look after yourself, and try and come to terms with what's happened in the past. Maybe a bit of acceptance is necessary as well. You know, just trying to accept the fact that what has happened has happened. You can't do anything about the past. All you can try and do is work on yourself for the future, and obviously bear that in mind. Alright? But generally speaking, is someone new coming into your life who you're going to be compatible with? Yes. And I would say not too far down the line. But for the moment, it's self-reflection time. Okay? Okay, now we're doing a reading for Jaden. Jaden Expelliarmus, I think, is the channel name. And it's not the first reading I've had with Jaden, and circumstances have changed and moved on very substantially. Alright, and the individual that she was talking to and she was building a bond with has reacted in a rather interesting or intriguing way. So we're going to focus the reading purely upon Jaden, and we're going to do another chronological spread and see what kind of thoughts, feelings, moods and energies are going to appear there, just to make sure that everything's going to go according to plan, okay? So let's just have a quick look and see basically what's going to come through for Jaden. So, chronological spread coming up. Yeah, very good. But the interesting thing that I'm seeing here is the individual in question may actually be having a change of heart. Bit of a sense of there being some individual who has some familiarity associated with you at the moment. Interesting signs of a more mature outlook developing. Maybe when this individual said that they were only interested as a friend, maybe they only meant that for the moment, and they want to see how the connection's going to go, which could in fact be a wise move. It's difficult to say. Either that, or there's somebody else already around you who has some knowledge of you, who hasn't actually properly connected with you, who's also got a desire to actually build a bond with you. So as far as is it going to happen, I mean, you must be a very good looking woman, okay? Because the feeling is that you're attracting men like crazy. So the progress is actually very nice for you. Relatively short term, give it 3 to 6 months at the very, 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 very outside, and I would say that you're going to be there. Okay, we got someone called Rocky who's come back. Rocky is asking about one particular individual and wants to make sure this individual is going to be in their life for like the long haul, for the, the big term, as in, is this individual going to be the life partner kind of thing. So obviously we're looking out for signs of consistency, change of pace, that movement from like the soulmate stage to the life partner connection, and we'll see whether that's going to happen there. So we'll just have a quick look and see what kind of things is coming through. Just bear with me a second, please. Okay, 8-card relationship reading, as I'm sure you can tell, looking brilliant in the here and now. Alright, touch of anxiety on your side of things, but also a sense of enthusiasm, especially coming through with the Wand card. I don't do saucy jokes on my tarot show, okay, so I can't really tell you some of the ones I've heard, but essentially I'm sure you get there's a connection there, never mind. Very pleasurable signs in the foursome between the two of you, a sense of there being a bond, a sense of there being happiness, a sense of there being joy, and a desire to try and make something more permanent occur. So already it's starting to emerge, and that's on both sides of things, but you are dealing with someone who's got their head in the clouds. You're dealing with someone who's not capable of always looking at the fine details, and as a result of that there can be a few issues associated with the direction and progress of the relationship itself, okay? So you've got to make sure that this is an individual who's actually going to be open to a change of a very positive nature. We'll have a look at the progression into the future. Just bear with me a second, please. Right. Longer term future. Definite signs of new beginnings. Now, I interpret that as being the potential move from the soulmate connection to the life partner connection, happening for you in the early or mid part of next year. It's going to be a long-term connection, just depends upon how you manage that transition basically, and if you can do that, you've got a long-term future ahead for you. Okay? I know we should never work with children or animals, but I just thought I'd give you a nice bit of soft fluffy kittenness. Okay, well, he's not really a kitten anymore, I still just see him as one though, because he's very affectionate and very soft and fluffy. Okay, we've got a YouTube user called Mr. James1235 who's sacrificed an awful lot for the career change that Mr. James is going through. So I'll have a quick peek to see, whether everything's going to be on track, just to make sure basically. So let's have a quick look. Obviously, if we can see signs of stability, I don't know, something like the Four of Coins maybe, or something else, even the Lightning Struck Tower reverse would probably be quite an interesting sign associated with progress. Whilst I was just shuffling, one of the cards just popped out of my hands. It happens to be the Two of Staves, and that's talking about control. So already I think that there's an interesting message coming through there for you. But let's have a quick look. Okay, well, as far as signs of stability are concerned, the Queen of Discs is essentially portraying you as someone who's in control, but has got a rather empathic, very ethical attitude towards whatever it is you're doing. The very short-term future signs are much more driven by desire and determination. You know where you want to be in about 6 months or 12 months' time down the line. So the feeling of progress there is really rather interesting and intriguing. Again, is it the second time or third time we've had the adjustment card coming up? Which is again talking about peace and balance. Now, if you are someone who's very heavily driven, alright, you've got to sometimes make sure that you're looking after yourself and you're not pushing yourself too far, because otherwise things can work out against your better nature or against your better interest. So essentially the feeling there is, after a period of putting your back into it, you're then going to have to, not quite coast, but settle down and work out where you're going right, where you're going wrong, okay? Just to make sure that things in the long run can actually be quite happy for you. Okay, and the final signs, I would associate them with being a calm victory. You are creating something for the future in the longer term, so don't worry about that too much. I've got no real worries for you, basically. You're going to be in control, just like the two of Staves is talking about, and you are a very driven individual. It's just a question of getting the balance right at the right time. At the moment, I would say that you're going to be very successful. Okay, we got a reading for Angel Kaylee, who's got an interesting inquiry. She's thinking about her ex, and she's thinking about the relationship that the ex has with her. Alright? And to see whether the ex is going to, start stepping up to the plate, as some people say, opening up, showing the right variety of regard, basically. So let's have a quick look. We'll focus purely upon the ex and we'll take it from there one step at a time. Just bear with me a second, please. So cards for yourself, cards for the ex, one for the forces in between the two of you. First thing I would say is there's going to be a bit of a step change. I mean, the energy and the forces between the two of you. This is the card we wanted in the previous reading. Basically, we've got it out in this one. And in this particular reading, with this particular question, for the here and now, it's not a good message. For the previous reading, it would have been a good message because it was a different style of question, different energies associated with it. But with this one, for the here and now, it's not perfect. But the Four of Coins did turn up reversed, which is talking about something which is in the here and now, steadily ebbing away, steadily moving away, okay? So if in the here and now he's rather stubborn and rather resistant, I think he's going to become a little soft, a little more pliable, a little more malleable, able to adjust and take into account where you're coming from, just bit by bit. It's almost like he rather stubbornly objected to something that he shouldn't have objected to. And that's actually caused part of the rift, and he's now going through a period of thinking, oh my God, have I done something wrong there? I mean, on his side of things, he wants to see himself as being the strong, determined individual. But there's also this sense of a bond he's got with you, and he doesn't really want to destroy that. But so much discussion has got to happen so that you can both change to reach the right level. So it is very difficult. I don't want to turn around to you and give you an answer either way here. And the reason I don't want to do that is because it feels like you're very different people who are struggling to become very much the same person. And that's where there's a lot of problems. Progress, short-term, mid-term and long-term. Some signs of conflict. And I feel his resistance may come back again. It'll only be there for a short period of time, but it may come back again. But never mind, there is still some loving signs there. If my fingernails can pick up the card, there we go. So there is progress, there is something there, but you're dealing with someone who's got rather old-fashioned attitudes as to what he should be and where he should be going and how he should be doing it. And all of that can make the whole relationship a lot harder. But the relationship still appears to be there. So it's very difficult. That much I will say. It's not clear-cut. Lots of little decisions have got to be made in order for both of you to be happy, basically. 48 Avril has inquired whether she or he will be the next millionaire lottery winner. That's not the kind of question I would answer anyway, okay? I just wouldn't. Okay, the Milky Way Princess has made an inquiry. Okay, that's the channel name, obviously not the birth name. Alright, just to see whether they're going to get back with the ex. Alright, it is a complex situation that has been explained quite nicely in the email. So we're just going to have a quick look and basically see what kind of thoughts, feelings, moods and energies and all the rest of that are going to appear today. So just bear with me a second please. Here we go. Very similar energy to the last question really, isn't it? But on the other hand, a very slightly different message, because at the moment it's a question of caution, it's not a question of resistance, alright? In the previous reading it's more a question of, I'm not doing that, I'm doing this. But in this one it's more a question of, I don't want to push things away, I don't want to cause any problems, I don't want to harm anyone. So you're dealing with a different type of individual, but I would say that this is much more likely to work out according to plan. Because caution is something which can be eroded with greater ease than, let's say, something like stubbornness. So, taking that into account, the energy is very different. The whole message and the whole meaning is very different. And of course, what with signs of stability as well, and with very strong communication signs from your side of things towards your partner, that's actually very different indeed. As far as change is concerned, well, the best signs of change we've got are those of cooperation, working together on something. So maybe you won't be together initially, but there'll be an opportunity for you to work together on a project of some description, which is then going to help you to make your bond work. So it actually feels very interesting and very positive. I don't really see that in a negative light either. But it's not that you're two very different people who are struggling or fighting against each other. It's that you're two people who don't really want to make things worse. And so you need that one thing that would actually help to try and make things work out better, if you get my drift. So cooperation is basically your watchword there. Alright? Okay, well that is the last reading of today. I do hope you've enjoyed the show. Please don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe, favourite and share. And I look forward to cracking on with some more readings next time. I've almost reached the end of the backlog for the moment, so essentially I'm looking forward to lots of lovely requests. Now if your request is far too long, I'm not going to look at it. If you submit lots of requests every single day, I'm probably not going to look at your requests either. Okay? I'm doing this free of charge, and remember I do this work for a living. The quantity of time I make in shooting this video, as well as converting it, then editing it, then rendering it and uploading it, can take basically a whole day when basically the computer's busy or I'm busy. So I can't really get any work done then. Alright, so I'm taking out a whole working day in order to provide you with this free of charge service. So, you know, make things reasonably easy to me. Paragraphs that are a couple of lines long, which just outlines a basic situation, that's fine. But like 2 or 3 A4 size pieces of paper's worth, basically not okay. Alright? If you want to request something, if you want to request a reading, then do so in a private message on this YouTube channel, which is Nick Dutch Tarot, and I'll be very happy to add you to the rota. Alright? There are some questions I won't do, there are things that I won't touch, but on the other hand, to the most part, I can probably do nearly anything. For legal reasons, I won't touch pregnancy, medical matters or childbirth, and it's also not advised I do legal questions either. So do leave your requests, because I'm running low, and I will definitely look forward to speaking to you again soon sometime. This is Nick Dutch, bidding you good fortune, God bless, and I'll speak to you again very soon.